Hello, Book 2, The Inconsistent Reader here with Part 8, Carnarvon, Chapter 21. We are back with Daisy for this section. So, remember, she just found out her parents were murdered by a bomb. So Ada's totally freaking Daisy out at this point, where she's like, peace, I'm out of here. I'm just going to go back to school. They'll notify the proper authorities and they'll know what to do. And Ada's just like, dude, like, you're clearly in shock here. And you can't just go to the police. This doesn't seem like a bright idea. So Ada takes Daisy to a place called Sancticare. And Sancticare is a Gilead refugee organization. And she's told that Neil and Melanie used to work for them. And I forgot my book. Hold on a second. Okay. And I quote, I sat there and watched the foot traffic the way I used to watch it in the Clothes Hound. Several women came in, one of them with a baby. They looked really wrecked and also scared. And then she goes on to say that the women started to cry. And I quote, why cry? You should be happy you got out. But after all that's happened to me since that day, I understand why. You hold it in, whatever it is, until you can make it through the worst part. Then, once you're safe, you can cry all the tears you couldn't waste time crying before. End quote. So, I mean, how many times have you been in a situation like that where, like, something, like, an emergency situation happens or something drastic happens and you just immediately go into fix mode or take care of it mode, and then afterwards you kind of just, like, break down? Like, I've had incidents like that before where, like, somebody got hurt and then I patched them up, and then afterwards, like, you know, I freaked out and shit like that. But yeah, that's what you do. Can any of you relate to that? I mean, have you been in situations like that you can relate? I'm sure we all have. I was going to tell you a specific story, but then I didn't want to really get into that, so we'll just move on. So anyway, Ada tells Daisy to change her clothes and to change into something that she would never wear in real life. Like, she wants her to look different than she normally looks. Clearly, for obvious reasons that we know of. And that's the end of Chapter 21. Chapter 22, Ada and Daisy are back on the road. They stop at this weird mansion named, you guessed it, Carnarvon, which apparently, according to Ada, is a Welsh place. So somebody was obviously feeling homesick or whatever and just named the place that. So I'm sure I'm butchering how to say that name properly, and I'm sorry. Anyway, so Ada tells Daisy there's a room for her upstairs, but Daisy just kind of, like, falls on the couch exhausted. Like, she's just fucking done. And she wakes up a little bit later in the evening to the TV, and it's the news broadcast telling her about the explosion at the Clothes Hound. And Ada tries to make Daisy eat something, and I quote, and I've decided to just read it from the actual book now. So, you'll have to bear with me while I do that. I know this is bizarre, she said. I said nothing. She went out and came in again. I got you some birthday cake. It's chocolate, vanilla ice cream, your favorites. How did she know what my favorites were? Melanie must have told her. They must have talked about me. And so I find that interesting. Like, why would she care about what her favorites are? And then I had a theory about Ada here that turned out to be false, so we can talk about that later. But yeah, I had a theory about Ada, but it didn't pan out. Anyway, so instead of eating, she just went into the bathroom and threw up, and then she went back to bed because she was just, like, not feeling it. And that's the end of the next chapter. So chapter 23, when she awakes again, it's morning time. And she heard some stuff, like, while she was sleeping, people, like, the door opening and closing and stuff. She didn't think anything of it. But when she got up, Elijah, who she briefly met at the Sancticare place, was sitting in the living room with Ada, and they told her, oh, go get some cereal. You know, your favorites are in there or whatever. So she went and got some cereal, and then she sits down with them. And then Elijah tells her that yesterday was not her real birthday. And she's like, huh? Her birthday is actually 4 months later. Sorry, it's like all go today for some reason. Anyway, so then he tells her that Melanie and Neil are not her real parents. Now, she freaks out at both of these revelations, but I really don't think she's that surprised that they're not her parents, because remember in the earlier chapters she was saying how they were treating her like this precious object that they didn't want to break. So I think that's whatever. Anyway, I'm putting the wrong button. So she asks about her real parents, and Elijah tells her, you know, I mean, they were alive yesterday. So then he tells her that she was born in Gilead. Okay, and here we are already at the end of this video pretty much. I'm just going to read you the end. And I quote, "You're joking," I said. "You were smuggled out by your mother and Mayday. They'd risked their lives. Gilead made a big fuss about it. They wanted you back. They said your so-called legal parents had the right to claim you. Mayday hid you. There were a lot of people looking for you, plus a media blitz." "Like baby Nicole," I said. "I wrote an essay about her at school." Elijah looked down at the floor again. Then he looked straight at me. "You are baby Nicole." I just gave myself chills. That's funny. I've already read this shit. Okay, so anyway, how many of you already knew she was baby Nicole or suspected she was baby Nicole? I mean, I'm pretty sure I knew fairly early that, or at least hoping that, of course, she was going to be baby Nicole. I remember when me and Brian were reading it that I was like, this is, because we read to each other before we go to bed. Usually every night. Sometimes we're too tired, but yeah, we'll read a chapter to each other each night. Yeah, and you can be envious of that. That's fine. You know, couple goals and all that shit. But anyway, so it's finally revealed to us that Daisy, thank God I can call her by her real name. I just hate when I know their real names and I have to keep calling them these fucking fake-ass names that's not their names. Anyway, so we find out that she is actually the fabled and highly politicized baby Nicole. Can you believe that? That's the end of part 8. So next up is part 9, which is called The Think Tank, and it's about, you know, about Aunt Lydia again and what, like, she went through when she was becoming part of Gilead. Anyway, so thanks for watching this episode. I hope you enjoyed it. It's really short, so that's good, right? Maybe if I do these little mini ones, you guys will watch them more. I don't know. Anyway, so I'll see you for the next part, and as always, make good choices.